rocky mountain. He who wishes to put on the yellow dress without having cleansed himself from sin, who disregards temperance and truth, is unworthy of the yellow dress. But he who has cleansed himself from sin is well grounded in all virtues, and regards also temperance and truth. He is indeed worthy of the yellow dress. They who imagine truth in untruth, and see untruth in truth, never arrive at truth, but follow vain desires. They who know truth in truth, and untruth in untruth, arrive at truth, and follow true desires. As rain breaks through an ill-thatched house, passion will break through a
dude.
As rain does not break through a well-thatched house, passion will not break through a well-reflecting mind. The evildoer mourns in this world, and he mourns in the next. He mourns in both.
Divorced dads.
He mourns and suffers when he sees the evil of his own work. The virtuous man delights in this world, and he delights in the next. He delights in both. He delights and rejoices when he sees the purity of his own work. The evildoer suffers in this world, and he suffers in the next. He suffers in both. He suffers when he thinks of the evil he has done. He suffers more when going on the evil path. The virtuous man is happy in this world, and he is happy in the next. He is happy in both. He is happy when he thinks of the good he has done. He is still more happy when going on the good path. The thoughtless man, even if he can recite a large portion of the law, but is not a doer of it, has no share in the priesthood, but is like a cowherd counting the cows of others. The follower of the law, even if he can recite only a small portion of the law, but, having forsaken passion and hatred and foolishness, possesses true knowledge and serenity of mind, he, caring for nothing in this world or that to come, has indeed a share in the priesthood. 2. On earnestness. Earnestness is the path of immortality, nirvana. Thoughtlessness, the path of death. Those who are in earnest do not die. Those who are thoughtless are as if dead already. Those who are advanced in earnestness, having understood this clearly, delight in earnestness, and rejoice in the knowledge of the Arias, the elect. These wise people, meditative, steady, always possessed of strong powers, attain to nirvana, the highest happiness. If an earnest person has roused himself, if he is not forgetful, if his deeds are pure, if he acts with consideration, if he restrains himself and lives according to law, then his glory will increase. By rousing himself, by earnestness, by restraint and control, the wise man may make for himself an island which no flood can overwhelm. Fools follow after vanity, men of evil wisdom. The wise man keeps earnestness as his best jewel. Follow not after vanity, nor after the enjoyment of love and lust. He who is earnest and meditative obtains ample joy. When the learned man drives away vanity by earnestness, he, the wise, climbing the terraced heights of wisdom, looks down upon the fools. Serene, he looks upon the toiling crowd, as one that stands on a mountain looks down upon them that stand upon the plain. Earnest among the thoughtless, awake among the sleepers. The wise man advances like a racer, leaving behind the hack. earnestness did Magavan, Indra, rise to the lordship of the gods. People praise earnestness. Thoughtlessness is always blamed. A bhikshu who delights in earnestness, who looks with fear on thoughtlessness, moves about like fire, burning all his fetters, small or large. A bhikshu who delights in reflection, who looks with fear on thoughtlessness, cannot fall away from his perfect state. He is close upon nirvana. Thought. As a fletcher makes straight his arrow, a wise man makes straight his trembling and unsteady thought, which is difficult to guard, difficult to hold back. As a fish taken from his watery home and thrown on dry ground, our thought trembles all over in order to escape the dominion of Mara, the tempter. It is good to tame the mind, which is difficult to hold in and flighty, rushing wherever it listeth. A tamed mind brings happiness. Let the wise man guard his thoughts, for they are difficult to perceive, very artful, and they rush wherever they list. Thoughts well guarded bring happiness. Those who bridle their mind, which travels far, moves about alone, is without a body, and hides in the chamber of the heart, will be free from the bonds of Mara, the tempter. If a man's thoughts are unsteady, if he does not know the true law, if his peace of mind is troubled, his knowledge will never be perfect. If a man's thoughts are not dissipated, if his mind is not perplexed, if he has ceased to think of good or evil, then there is no fear for him while he is watchful. Knowing that this body is fragile like a jar, and making his thought firm like a fortress, one should attack Mara the tempter with the weapon of knowledge. One should watch him when conquered, and should never rest. Before long, alas, this body will lie on the earth, despised, without understanding, like a useless log. Whatever a hater may do to a hater, or an enemy to an enemy, a wrongly directed mind will do us greater mischief. Not a mother, not a father will do so much, nor any other relative. A well-directed mind will do us greater service. Flowers. Who shall overcome this earth, and the world of Yama, the lord of the departed, and the world of the gods? Who shall find out the plainly shown path of virtue, as a clever man finds out the right flower? The disciple will overcome the earth, and the world of Yama, and the world of the gods. The disciple will find out the plainly shown path of virtue, as a clever man finds out the right flower. He who knows that this body is like a froth, and has learnt that it is as unsubstantial as a mirage, will break the flower-pointed arrow of Mara, and never see the king of death. Death carries off a man who is gathering flowers, and whose mind is distracted, as a flood carries off a sleeping village. Death subdues a man who is gathering flowers, and whose mind is distracted, before he is satiated in his pleasures. As the bee collects nectar and departs without injuring the flower, or its color or scent, so let a sage dwell in his village. Not the perversities of others, not their sins of commission or omission, but his own misdeeds and negligences should a sage take notice of. Like a beautiful flower, full of color but without scent, are the fine but fruitless words of him who does not act accordingly. But, like a beautiful flower, full of color and full of scent, are the fine and fruitful words of him who acts accordingly. As many kinds of wreaths can be made from a heap of flowers, so many good things may be achieved by a mortal when once he is born. The scent of flowers does not travel against the wind, nor that of sandalwood, or of tagara and malika flowers. But the odor of good people travels even against the wind. A good man pervades every place. Sandalwood, or tagara, a lotus flower, or a vasiki, among these sorts of perfumes, the perfume of virtue is unsurpassed. Mean is the scent that comes from tagara and sandalwood. The perfume of those who possess virtue rises up to the gods as the highest. Of the people who possess these virtues, who live without thoughtlessness, and who are emancipated through true knowledge, Mara, the tempter, never finds the way. As on a heap of rubbish cast upon the highway, the lily will grow full of sweet perfume and delight. Thus, the disciple of the truly enlightened Buddha shines forth by his knowledge among those who are like rubbish, among the people that walk in darkness. The fool. Long is the night to him who is awake. Long is a mile to him who is tired. Long is life to the foolish who do not know the true law. If a traveler does not meet with one who is his better or his equal, let him firmly keep to his solitary journey. There is no companionship with a fool. These sons belong to me, and this wealth belongs to me. With such thoughts a fool is tormented. He himself does not belong to himself. How much less sons and wealth? The fool who knows his foolishness is wise at least so far. But a fool who thinks himself wise, he is called a fool indeed. If a fool be associated with a wise man, even all his life, he will perceive the truth as little as a spoon perceives the taste of soup. If an intelligent man be associated for 1 minute only with a wise man, he will soon perceive the truth, as the tongue perceives the taste of soup. Fools of little understanding have themselves for their greatest enemies, for they do evil deeds which must bear bitter fruits. That deed is not well done of which a man must repent, and the reward of which he receives crying and with a tearful face. No, that deed is well done of which a man does not repent, and the reward of which he receives gladly and cheerfully. As long as the evil deed done does not bear fruit, the fool thinks it is like honey, but when it ripens, then the fool suffers grief. Let a fool, month after month, eat his food like an ascetic, with the tip of a blade of kusa grass, yet he is not worth the 16th particle of those who have well weighed the law. An evil deed, like newly drawn milk, does not turn suddenly. Smoldering like fire covered by ashes, it follows the fool. And when the evil deed, after it has become known, brings sorrow to the fool, then it destroys his bright lot. Nay, it cleaves his head. Let the fool wish for a false reputation, for precedence among the bhikshus, for lordship in the convents, for worship among other people. May both the layman and he who has left the world think that this is done by me. May they be subject to me in everything which is to be done or is not to be done. Thus is the mind of the fool, and his desire and pride increase. One is the road that leads to wealth, another the road that leads to nirvana. If the bhikshu, the disciple of Buddha, has learnt this, he will not yearn for honor. He will strive after separation from the world. 6. The wise man, Pandita. If you see an intelligent man who tells you where true treasures are to be found, who shows what is to be avoided, and administers reproofs, follow that wise man. It will be better, not worse, for those who follow him. Let him admonish, let him teach, let him forbid what is improper. You will be beloved of the good. By the bad, you will be hated. Do not have evildoers for friends. Do not have low people for friends. Have virtuous people for friends. Have for friends the best of men. He who drinks in the law lives happily with a serene mind. The sage rejoices always in the law, as preached by the elect, Arias. Well-makers lead the water wherever they like. Fletchers bend the arrow. Carpenters bend a log of wood. Wise people fashion themselves. As a solid rock is not shaken by the wind, wise people falter not amidst blame and praise. Wise people, after they have listened to the laws, become serene, like a deep, smooth, and still lake. Good people walk on whatever befall. The good do not prattle, longing for pleasure, whether touched by happiness or sorrow. Wise people never appear elated or depressed. If, whether for his own sake or for the sake of others, a man wishes neither for a son, nor for wealth, nor for lordship, and if he does not wish for his own success by unfair means, then he is good, wise, and virtuous.
Hello?
You are there among men who arrive at the
Oh,
other
hi,
shore.
T.A.
Become
Cindy.
The other people
I want to
here
change my
run
name.
up
Fuck
and
that.
down the
Fuck
shore.
that too.
Talking ape.
But those
You
who,
were talking
when the law
ape,
has been
girl?
well preached to them, follow the law,
No.
will pass across the dominion of death, however difficult to overcome.
Not no more.
A wise man should leave the dark state of ordinary life and follow the bright state of the bhikshu. After going from his home to a homeless state, he should, in his retirement, look for enjoyment where there seemed to be no enjoyment. Leaving all pleasures behind and calling nothing his own, the wise man should purge himself from all the troubles of the mind. Those whose mind is well grounded in the 7 elements of knowledge, who, without clinging to anything, rejoice in freedom from attachment, whose appetites have been conquered, and who are full of light, are free even in this world. Seven, the Venerable Arhat. There is no suffering for him who has finished his journey and abandoned grief, who has freed himself on all sides and thrown off all fetters. They depart with their thoughts well collected. They are not happy in their abode. Like swans who have left their lake, they leave their house and home. Men who have no riches, who live on recognized food, who have perceived void and unconditioned freedom, nirvana. Their path is difficult to understand, like that of birds in the air. He whose appetites are stilled, who is not absorbed in enjoyment, who has has perceived void and unconditioned freedom, nirvana. His path is difficult to understand, like that of birds in the air. The gods even envy him whose senses, like horses well broken in by the driver, have been subdued, who is free from pride and free from appetites. Such a one who does his duty is tolerant, like the earth, like Indra's bolt. He is like a lake without mud. No new births are in store for him. His thought is quiet. Quiet are his word and deed, when he has obtained freedom by true knowledge, when he has thus become a quiet man. The man who is free from credulity, but knows the uncreated, who has cut all ties, removed all temptations, renounced all desires, he is the greatest of men. In a hamlet or in a forest, in the deep water or on the dry land, wherever venerable persons, arhanta, dwell, that place is delightful. Forests are delightful. Where the world finds no delight, there the passionless will find delight, for they look not for pleasures. 8. The thousands. Even though a speech be 1,000 of words, but made up of senseless words, one word of sense is better, which if a man hears, he becomes quiet. Even though a gatha, poem, be 1,000 of words, but made up of senseless words, one word of a gatha is better, which if a man hears, he becomes quiet. Though a man recite 100 gathas made up of senseless words, one word of the law is better, which if a man hears, he becomes quiet. If one man conquer in a battle 1,000 times 1,000 men, and if another conquer himself, he is the greatest of conquerors. One's own self conquered is better than all other people. Not even a god, a Gandharva, not Mara with Brahman, could change into defeat the victory of a man who has vanquished himself and always lives under restraint. If a man for 100 years sacrifice month after month with 1,000, and if he but for one moment pay homage to a man whose soul is grounded in true knowledge, better is that homage than sacrifice for 100 years. If a man for 100 years worship Agni, fire, in the forest, and if he but for one moment pay homage to a man whose soul is grounded in true knowledge, better is that homage than sacrifice for 100 years. Whatever a man sacrifice in this world as an offering, or as an oblation for a whole year in order to gain merit, the whole of it is not worth a quarter, a farthing. Reverence shown to the righteous is better. He who always greets and constantly reveres the aged, 4 things will increase to him: life, beauty, happiness, power. But he who lives 100 years, vicious and unrestrained, a life of one day is better if a man is virtuous and reflecting. And he who lives 100 years, ignorant and unrestrained, a life of one day is better if a man is wise and reflecting. And he who lives 100 years, idle and weak, a life of one day is better if a man has attained firm strength. And he who lives 100 years, not seeing beginning and end, a life of one day is better if a man sees beginning and end. And he who lives 100 years, not seeing the immortal place, a life of one day is better if a man sees the immortal place. and he who lives 100 years, not seeing the highest law. A life of one day is better if a man sees the highest law. 9. Evil. If a man would hasten towards the good, he should keep his thought away from evil. If a man does what is good slothfully, his mind delights in evil. If a man commits a sin, let him not do it again. Let him not delight in sin. Pain is the outcome of evil. If a man does what is good, let him do it again. Let him delight in it. Happiness is the outcome of good. Even an evildoer sees happiness as long as his evil deed has not ripened. But when his evil deed has ripened, then does the evildoer see evil. Even a good man sees evil days, as long as his good deed has not ripened. But when his good deed has ripened, then does the good man see happy days. Let no man think lightly of evil, saying in his heart, "It will not come nigh unto me." Even by the falling of water drops, a water pot is filled. The fool becomes full of evil, even if he gather it little by little. Let no man think lightly of good, saying in his heart, "It will not come nigh unto me." Even by the falling of water drops, a water pot is filled. The wise man becomes full of good, even if he gather it little by little. Let a man avoid evil deeds as a merchant. If he has few companions and carries much wealth, avoids a dangerous road. As a man who loves life avoids poison. He who has no wound on his hand may touch poison with his hand. Poison does not affect one who has no wound, nor is there evil for one who does not commit evil. If a man offend a harmless, pure, and innocent person, the evil falls back upon that fool like light dust thrown up against the wind. Some people are born again. Evildoers go to hell. Righteous people go to heaven. Those who are free from all worldly desires attain nirvana. Not in the sky, not in the midst of the sea, not if we enter into the clefts of mountains, is there known a spot in the whole world where death could not overcome the mortal. 10. Punishment. All men tremble at punishment. All men fear death. Remember that you are like unto them, and do not kill nor cause slaughter. All men tremble at punishment. All men love life. Remember that thou art like unto them, and do not kill nor cause slaughter. He who seeking his own happiness punishes or kills beings who also long for happiness will not find happiness after death. He who seeking his own happiness does not punish or kill beings who also long for happiness will find happiness after death. Do not speak harshly to anybody. Those who are spoken to will answer thee in the same way. Angry speech is painful. Blows for blows will touch thee. If, like a shattered metal plate, or gong, thou utter not, then thou hast reached nirvana. Contention is not known to thee. As a cowherd with his staff drives his cows into the stable, so do age and death drive the life of men. A fool does not know when he commits his evil deeds, but the wicked man burns by his own deeds, as if burnt by fire. He who inflicts pain on innocent and harmless persons will soon come to one of these 10 states. he will have cruel suffering, loss, injury of the body, heavy affliction, or loss of mind, or a misfortune coming from the king, or a fearful accusation, or loss of relations, or destruction of treasures, or lightning fire will burn his houses, and when his body is destroyed, the fool will go to hell. Not nakedness, not plaited hair, not dirt, not fasting or lying on the earth, not rubbing with dust, not sitting motionless, can purify a mortal who has not overcome desires. He who, though well dressed in fine apparel, exercises tranquility, is quiet, subdued, restrained, chaste, and has ceased to find fault with all other beings. He, indeed, is a Brahmana, an ascetic, Brahmana, a friar, bhikshu. Is there in this world any man so restrained by humility that he does not mind reproof, as a well-trained horse the whip? Like a well-trained horse when touched by the whip, be ye active and lively, and by faith, by virtue, by energy, by meditation, by discernment of the law, you will overcome this great pain of reproof, perfect in knowledge and in behavior, and never forgetful. Well makers lead the water wherever they like. Fletchers bend the arrow. Carpenters bend a log of wood. Good people fashion themselves. Old age. How is their laughter? How is their joy, as this world is always burning? Why do you not seek a light, ye who are surrounded by darkness? Look at this dressed-up lump, covered with wounds, joined together, sickly, full of many thoughts, which has no strength, no hold. This body is wasted, full of sickness and frail. This heap of corruption breaks to pieces. Life indeed ends in death. Those white bones, like gourds thrown away in the autumn, what pleasure is there in looking at them? After a stronghold has been made of the bones, it is covered with flesh and blood, and there dwell in it old age and death, pride and deceit. The brilliant chariots of kings are destroyed. The body also approaches destruction, but the virtue of good people never approaches destruction. Thus do the good say to the good. A man who has learnt little grows old like an ox. His flesh grows, but his knowledge does not grow. Looking for the maker of this tabernacle, I shall have to run through a course of many births, so long as I do not find him. And painful is birth again and again. But now, maker of the tabernacle, thou hast been seen. Thou shalt not make up this tabernacle again. All thy rafters are broken, thy ridge pole is sundered. The mind, approaching the eternal, Visankara, Nirvana, has attained to the extinction of all desires. Men who have not observed proper discipline and have not gained treasure in their youth perish like old herons in a lake without fish. Men who have not observed proper discipline
TJ, 80% of all
and
the
have
mass
not
hiring
gained
of black
treasure
people
in their
don't like
youth
him as a boss.
lie
They're like, you
like
moron.
broken bows, sighing after the past. 12. Self. If a man hold himself dear, let him watch himself carefully. During one at least out of the 3 watches, a wise man should be watchful. Let each man direct himself first to what is proper, then let him teach others. Thus, a wise man will not suffer. If a man make himself as he teaches others to be, then, being himself well subdued, he may subdue others. One's own self is indeed difficult to subdue. Self is the lord of self. Who else could be the lord? With self well subdued, a man finds a lord such as few can find. The evil done by oneself, self-begotten, self-bred, crushes the foolish as a diamond breaks a precious stone. He whose wickedness is very great brings himself down to the state where his enemy wishes him to be, as a creeper does with the tree which it surrounds. Bad deeds and deeds hurtful to ourselves are easy to do. What is beneficial and good, that is very difficult to do. The foolish man who scorns the rule of the venerable, Arahat, of the elect, Araya, of the virtuous, and follows false doctrine, he bears fruit to his own destruction, like the fruits of the Kataka reed. By oneself, the evil is done. By oneself, one suffers. By oneself, evil is left undone. By oneself, one is purified. Purity and impurity belong to oneself. No one can purify another. Let no one forget his own duty for the sake of another's, however great. Let a man, after he has discerned his own duty, be always attentive to his duty. 13. The world. Do not follow the evil law. Do not live on in thoughtlessness. Do not follow false doctrine. Be not a friend of the world. Rouse thyself. Do not be idle. Follow the law of virtue. The virtuous rests in bliss in this world and in the next. Follow the law of virtue. Do not follow that of sin. The virtuous rests in bliss in this world and in the next. Look upon the world as a bubble. Look upon it as a mirage. The king of death does not see him, who thus looks down upon the world. Come, look at this glittering world, like unto a royal chariot. The foolish are immersed in it, but the wise do not touch it. He who formerly was reckless and afterwards became sober, brightens up this world like the moon when freed from clouds. He whose evil deeds are covered by good deeds brightens up this world like the moon when freed from clouds. This world is dark. Few only can see here. A few only go to heaven, like birds escaped from the net. The swans go on the path of the sun. They go through the ether by means of their miraculous power. The wise are let out of this world when they have conquered Mara and his train. If a man has transgressed one law, and he speaks lies and scoffs at another world, there is no evil he will not do. The uncharitable do not go to the world of the gods. Fools only do not praise liberality. A wise man rejoices in liberality, and through it becomes blessed in the other world. Better than sovereignty over the earth, better than going to heaven, better than lordship over all worlds, is the reward of the first step in holiness. 14. The Buddha, the awakened. He whose conquest is not conquered again, into whose conquest no one in this world enters, by what track can you lead him, the awakened, the omniscient, the trackless? he whom no desire with its snares and poisons can lead astray. By what track can you lead him? The awakened, the omniscient, the trackless. Even the gods envy those who are awakened and not forgetful, who are given to meditation, who are wise, and who delight in the repose of retirement from the world. Difficult to obtain is the conception of men. Difficult is the life of mortals. Difficult is the hearing of the true law. Difficult is the birth of the awakened, the attainment of Buddhahood. Not to commit any sin, to do good, and to purify one's mind. That is the teaching of all the awakened. The awakened call patience the highest penance, long-suffering the highest nirvana. For he is not an anchorite, pravragita, who strikes others. He is not an ascetic, sramana, who insults others. Not to blame, not to strike, to live restrained under the law, to be moderate in eating, to sleep and sit alone, and to dwell on the highest thoughts. This is the teaching of the awakened. There is no satisfying lusts, even by a shower of gold pieces. He who knows that lusts have a short taste and cause pain, he is wise. Even in heavenly pleasures he finds no satisfaction. The disciple who is fully awakened delights only in the destruction of all desires. Men, driven by fear, go to many a refuge, to mountains and forests, to groves and sacred trees. But that is not a safe refuge. That is not the best refuge. A man is not delivered from all pains after having gone to that refuge. He who takes refuge with Buddha, the law, and the church, he who, with clear understanding, sees the four holy truths, pain, the origin of pain, the destruction of pain, and the eightfold holy way that leads to the quieting of pain. That is the safe refuge. That is the best refuge. Having gone to that refuge, a man is delivered from all pain. A supernatural person, a Buddha, is not easily found. He is not born everywhere. Wherever such a sage is born, that race prospers. Happy is the arising of the awakened. Happy is the teaching of the true law. Happy is peace in the church. Happy is the devotion of those who are at peace. He who pays homage to those who deserve homage, whether the awakened Buddha or their disciples, those who have overcome the host of evils and crossed the flood of sorrow. He who pays homage to such as have found deliverance and know no fear, this merit can never be measured by anybody. Happiness. Let us live happily then, not hating those who hate us. Among men who hate us, let us dwell free from hatred. Let us live happily then, free from ailments among the ailing. Among men who are ailing, let us dwell free from ailments. Let us live happily then, free from greed among the greedy. Among men who are greedy, let us dwell free from greed. Let us live happily then, though we call nothing our own. We shall be like the bright gods, feeding on happiness. Victory breeds hatred, for the conquered is unhappy. He who has given up both victory and defeat, he, the contented, is happy. There is no fire like passion. There is no losing throw like hatred. There is no pain like this body. There is no happiness higher than rest. Hunger is the worst of diseases, the body the greatest of pains. If one knows this truly, that is nirvana, the highest happiness. Health is the greatest of gifts. Contentedness, the best riches. Trust is the best of relationships. Nirvana, the highest happiness. He who has tasted the sweetness of solitude and tranquility is free from fear and free from sin, while he tastes the sweetness of drinking in the law. The sight of the elect, Ariah, is good. To live with them is always happiness. If a man does not see fools, he will be truly happy. He who walks in the company of fools suffers a long way. Company with fools, as with an enemy, is always painful. Company with the wise is pleasure, like meeting with kinsfolk. Therefore, one ought to follow the wise, the intelligent, the learned, the much enduring, the dutiful, the elect. One ought to follow a good and wise man, as the moon follows the path of the stars. Pleasure. He who gives himself to vanity and does not give himself to meditation, forgetting the real aim of life and grasping at pleasure, will in time envy him who has exerted himself in meditation. Let no man ever look for what is pleasant or what is unpleasant. Not to see what is pleasant is pain, and it is pain to see what is unpleasant. Let therefore no man love anything. Loss of the beloved is evil. Those who love nothing and hate nothing have no fetters. From pleasure comes grief. From pleasure comes fear. He who is free from pleasure knows neither grief nor fear. From affection comes grief. From affection comes fear. He who is free from affection knows neither grief nor fear. From lust comes grief. From lust comes fear. He who is free from lust knows neither grief nor fear. From love comes grief. From love comes fear. He who is free from love knows neither grief nor fear.
From all
greed
my life,
comes
women
grief.
have been my dirty choice. You know,
From
I
greed
believe when
comes
it comes to
fear.
that. But
He
when it
who
comes
is
to
free
love in
from
my country,
greed knows neither grief nor fear.
the sky will fall
He
before I betray my
possesses
country.
virtue and intelligence,
So,
who
in
is
that,
just,
I'm rock
speaks the
solid.
truth,
I
and
know there's
does
a lot of other
what is
guys
his
out there
own
just like that.
business.
You pay
Him
like President
the
Trump. He's
world
not
will hold
perfect either,
dear.
but I believe he loves this country.
He in whom a
And I
desire
believe
for
he's
the
loyal to
ineffable,
it.
nirvana,
I don't know
has sprung
about
up,
some of the people
who
around
is
me.
satisfied
I worry
in his
about that.
mind,
So
and whose
that's
thoughts
what
are not bewildered by love. He is called Erdfremdsrotis, carried upwards by the stream.
short. It's written by the same guy that wrote 1 Second After about the vulnerability of EMP strikes, right? By William R. Forsheim. William Forsheim. It's called Day of Wrath. And in that, he says, imagine what would happen if 6 jihadis in body armor AK-47s attacked elementary schools across the country, like multiple cells. Just pick a city. Across the whole city, 6 men in body armor AKs attack an elementary school. And then when the first responders respond, IEDs go off. Car bombs go off to kill the first responders. And when parents are rushing to go and save their kids, they're ambushed by other team of jihadis. That's what he lays out in this novella. It's like, hey, imagine this scenario. And this was written, years ago. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do. The most vulnerable target in our communities is our kids, our schools. So imagine that. Imagine being holding a gun. Well, no, that's not the point. They want to cause mass terror and death. That's their motivation. But in the middle of that, then you can imagine, like I said, attacks on infrastructure. Your police force, we've seen this in disaster relief. We did like 14 major hurricane disaster relief missions, starting with Hurricane Harvey in Texas, including Puerto Rico, multiple times in Florida, South Carolina, North Carolina, all over the place. We saw over and over again that after a hurricane, the local police are overwhelmed. Looters come out, carjackings and truck jackings happen because they know that the police are spread too thin. There's never, ever enough cops to ever provide protection in a natural disaster. It just doesn't happen. That goes back to the point. We need militia in this country. We are relying on professional protectors, police and military, who will be spread too thin. If you don't have an organized militia, you will not have local security unless your neighbors come together like an ad hoc, pick up football team to go and do it under duress. That's what's going to wind up happening. I've said this before over the years. You will wind up on your front lawn with a shotgun or a rifle protecting your neighborhood against looters after natural disasters. It's going to happen. That's just reality. Okay? So why not prepare yourself to do it ahead of time? That's why before I was made a freaking felon, I always carried a rifle with an AR-15 in my truck with plate carrier and at least 4 magazines with ISAC, extra friggin' tourniquets, ready to rock. Always did that because I wanted my duty to do that. Because I know what I'm doing. I'm trained enough to know what I'm doing. If I know if I'm going to be rolling by a school and I hear gunfire, I see someone running out of building samples inside killing kids, I'm going to go. It's better, though, to have us all organized in our communities so the local cops know us by sight, know how to identify us, the guys that are in the militia. We all train together. We train with local law enforcement. We have a sheriff who actually has a sheriff's posse, like Sheriff Arpaio did in Maricopa County. He had 3,000-man posse. Not all of them carried guns. Some of there's old people that, and things like that. But he did have an element, he called it the search and rescue unit, but they were guys in Jeeps with AR-15s, and they were well trained. Not all of them carried guns. Some of there's old people that, man like traffic cones and things like that. But he did have an element, he called it the search and rescue unit, but they were guys in Jeeps with AR-15s, and they were well trained. And they were in good shape. So my point is that every sheriff should have a posse. All these sheriffs in the CSPA that say they're a constitutional sheriff, ask them where their posse is. Unless they have a posse like Sheriff Arpaio has, they're full of crap. Well, right now. They're just politicians mouthing what they know you want to hear, but they're not taking care of your infrastructure. They're not ready for jihadi cell attacks in their neighborhoods and in their city. They're not ready for the cartels going active also. They're not ready for any of that. So until they raise a posse, they have the authority to do so. Until they do, they're just posers. That's what I'm going to say. I'm going to call them out right now. I don't care who they are. Same goes for your governors. If your governors will not call you up as the militia, get you organized and trained, then they need to go. If your state legislature won't step up and organize and train you as they have the authority to do, as a militia, they need to go. That's why I'm saying President Trump needs to do it. He can do it right now. All these weenie sheriffs are not going to do it. I've been trying for years to get them to do it. They just won't do it. I've given up on them. The only one that ever did it was Sheriff Arpaio.
Let's go to Ron. Go ahead, Ron.
The politicians, you can't rely on them either. But right now, President Trump has the ability to do it. That's why one thing you all could do, more important than anything else we're talking about, is encourage him to call up the militia and form us into county units and then deploy us down to the border. But I'm gonna write this up as a proposal. I need to do that. I'm gonna sit down this next week and that's what I'm gonna do. I'm gonna write it all out. Here's his basis, constitutional basis. Here's his federal statute basis. Here's what he needs to do. And maybe I'll enlist Ivan to help me do this. But let's write this up as a proposal and they give it to him. And we'll cite all the appearances on Sean Ryan's podcast by care experts. John Blondell has been ringing the bell about this. Sarah Adams, Sean has himself, right? So they've been saying this is what's coming, people. It's not a hypothesis. This is what we know is coming. They've told us they're going to do this. Al Qaeda has already announced it. They're going to do this in the United States. So what President Trump can do and must do is revitalize the militia.
Can I finish saying what I was going to say?
Yeah, go ahead, Billy.
I'm sorry, man. I got on a rant there. Go ahead.
All right, go ahead.
You're good. So, to get at what he was building at, which I am certain via his circumstance, he knows through and through. The best way to perceive the circumstance at hand would be this. Look at the quote-unquote U.S. government as the mob, right? It is the mob.
Billy.
The moment you begin to see it as that, and then understand that all of these alphabet soup agencies are the exact same entity, you will come to the conclusion that everything makes sense. Until you can actually see the hands of that puppet master, everything is just chaos.
We got the point.
Right?
Thank you. Go ahead.
Then,
I agree. Yeah, go ahead.
then what you need to understand is that the Fraternal Order of Police is a terrorist organization, and I will land there.
Thank you. If you guys can keep the points quick, we want to get questions in.
I mean, hey, look, in my organization, about 30% of my membership was cops. These were good men. They became police for the right reason. They're good cops. But they would tell you stories about bad cops. I had one guy that used to be a undercover narcotics guy. He was going out there and snaring drug trafficking rings. But then he realized that the CIA was the biggest drug trafficking cartel in the world, and he just realized, what's the point of this? The drug war is a complete joke. And drug war is a joke anyway. You can't keep drugs out of prison. I watched every day in my unit guys overdosing on drugs. It's ridiculous. It's like prohibition didn't work. Drug prohibition does not work. All it does is create a black market for drugs that makes billions of dollars, trillions of dollars every year for the cartels and for the politicians.
It is designed specifically to do exactly that.
Oh yeah.
Guys, we're not going to have interruptions.
And they don't want that.
Speaker here at Stewart, if you
No,
interrupt.
you're good. No, he's right. And they don't want that to end. So it leads to dirty cops. Okay. I thought when I was working in a gun shop in Vegas, I was there as a concealed carry instructor, and I started managing a gun shop. I watched local narcotics guys rolling in with brand new Corvettes, brand new Harleys, things they had confiscated from people, whether that were actually drug dealers or not, I don't know. But they benefited from the drug war because they got to roll around and cool toys. And their department got a lot of money from all the seized assets from people they accused, just accused. You had asset forfeiture in this country that's been done to people, no trial. They just take their stuff, say it was involved in drugs, and then they have to fight to get their stuff back. That's as bad as the red flag bills where your guns are taken and then you got to hire a lawyer, spend $10,000 to get your guns back. Same kind of crap. So my point is that the drug war has led to corruption, and it is in every department in the country, just as the drug war has led to corruption in the DOJ and state prosecutions too. You've got corrupt attorneys now, prosecutors who go out there, and it's the same crap. I met tons of guys in prison who were in there for what we call ghost guns or ghost drugs. In other words, no actual drugs were found, no guns were found, just some other poor sap who got wrapped up and accused of something was coerced into testifying to say that I saw Joe Schmo with guns or drugs. And on that testimony alone, juries across the country put people in prison. And the feds love to do this. So I'm just saying, it's rotten. So a big part of it is the war on drugs. It needs to go away. You should treat drugs exactly the same as you treat alcoholism. You wouldn't have 100,000 Americans dead from fentanyl if you had legalized drugs that people just go buy the same way they do alcohol. I know a lot of people are going to be like, oh, that's ridiculous. Look what happened in Portland. Do you want 100,000 dead Americans? Then don't have the cartels being the source for people that are wanting pain pills and can't get them, or wanting a temporary escape. It's not a death sentence. Because some teenager decides to get high, they don't deserve to friggin' die. If you believe that, then you're soulless. They don't deserve it. And same goes for all these men that I met in prison. They're in there because they were low-level drug users, and they're wrapped up and accused of being like one kid, like 20 years old. He was in there for conspiracy to distribute, and also what happened is that he had to take a plea deal because a drug dealer he bought some pills from sold some pills to somebody else, a girl who died of fentanyl overdose. They found this kid's number in the drug dealer's phone. So they wrapped this kid up and said he was involved in a conspiracy to distribute that led to her death. So they threatened him with like 30 years in prison, or you can take 5. He took 5. He was just a low-level purchaser of pills because he got hooked on prescription pills, and then he couldn't get them from a doctor. He went and bought them from a drug dealer. So I'm just saying, but the point is that it leads to injustice and it leads to corruption. So yes, you have a problem in this country of dirty cops. That's a problem. What I don't like about Black Lives Matter is they try to make it all about black people. So the only people that are being abused by cops in this country are black. And then they also, of course, no matter what is going on, if it's a black person, they argue that the shooting was unjustified, even if the guy was pulled a knife or pulled a gun. So it's a mess, is what I'm saying. But there's a legitimate problem with bad cops doing bad things to people that ends up in them, killing people or abusing their civil rights, and that needs to be fixed.
Okay, so real quick, some parameters as we go forward, guys. I do not want interrupting. If you have a question for Stuart,
oh no, you got it's cool, man. That's good. I tend to go on too long, so I don't mind.
No, you're good. But I'm gonna moderate this. It's not you. It's that we have people that jump in the middle of you talking, and
that's cool. We're having a conversation. Just picture we're all just having beers around a table. I don't mind. I really don't.
I get it, but I run things a particular way because we don't want people talking over each other.
All right, man.
I get it. You're a humble guy. Let me go to Ron. Go ahead, Ron.
Hey, thanks, man. And I agree with the parameters. Hold it, raise your hand, wait, get your point across as quickly as possible, and then land the plane, because there's a lot here to unpack. I agree with almost everything you're saying. I say almost because there's some things I couldn't hear because people were talking over. I'm going to say this. I am in California, all right? I would never advocate for violence. I am a 6-hour academy certified instructor in literally every discipline they've ever had. I train HRT teams, right? I am a California Post instructor. I am a California DOJ CCW instructor, which is just fucking stupid to begin with. And I know a lot about cops out here. And the problem is not just dirty cops or bad cops. The problem is also cops out here in California are just not trained. Most of the cops that I have initially trained with bring their guns to a class in the case, right? Because they get 40 hours of training on a rifle range or pistol range during their academy and that's it. Maybe, depending upon the department, they have to shoot a qual once or twice per year. That qual is so low level, it's frightening. You know, when I went through my post class because I had to at 58 years old, and outdid everyone because I know how to move the trigger to the rear without adding motion to the gun. So you know what I mean. Some of the things that these guys can't do is because they're not taught, and it's so easy to explain exactly how to make a hit on a steel target. Period. Right? It is, and dry fire practice, and all these things. But organizing people requires people to not be afraid. And I've been fighting California government since I got here. Hell, you could Google Givens v. Newsom and see what I did during COVID or just anywhere. I am not a fan of government. I believe what President Trump is doing, and what I hope that he's doing, is as he eliminates a lot of these federal departments and agencies, and a lot of this comes back to states as is constitutionally required, then people will start to see that it is not the big government that is the problem. It's the people who don't hold anybody accountable that are the problem. In California, for Christ's sake, you know that there's been two times since the 1950s in the state of California where Republicans had simple majorities in the legislature. 1969 and 70, 1995 and 1996. That's it. There's literally nothing you can do to blame anything on Republicans in California. Yeah, Reagan came out of here. Yeah, we've had a couple of Republican governors. Hang on one sec, okay, please. Because what I want to do is land this plane exactly right here, right now. We the people must find a way to get the message out that yes, we flipped 10 counties in California in 2024. We'll flip 10 more before the midterms. We flip 10 more before the presidential election in 2028. We vote Republican again in California for president, and no other swing states matter. But any Republican that wins here wins the country. And now the other part of this puzzle is I'm not sure that after the midterms there will be a Democrat Party or a Republican Party left. There may be a Patriot Party and then other. And that would be a beautiful thing. I'll land it right there. And thank you.
Yeah, one thing I would add to that is that, like, I have family in California. I was born in Fresno. I still have family in California, so I know that California, and frankly, Bud, he might have actually been majority Republican. The problem is you don't have clean elections, right? You got illegal aliens voting, you got all the mass mail-in ballots, all that crap going on, and you got motor voter voting, all that. So that's one problem. But another problem is, this is important, is that the Republican Party is to blame for continuing to run rhino shills, and that makes patriots throw their hands up and say, well, why am I even going to bother to participate? So you got people that, whether they're libertarians or old school like Ron Paul Republicans or independents, who just don't show up to vote because they're sick and tired of being, smoke being blown up their ass by the Republican Party, and then they wind up with rhinos. So that's one problem. So you have a large number of people out there that just don't vote. They showed up for President Trump because they believe in him. But like we were talking about earlier, we have got to take over our local GOP county party and make sure we have patriots that are in those positions who then cultivate the candidates who are going to be legitimate America First MAGA candidates. And that you have a much better chance of winning because people that are old school John F. Kennedy style Democrats like Robert Kennedy Jr. or Tulsi Gabbard will cross over and come vote for your candidate. That's what I think is the important point to make. So in some ways, it is Republicans' party's fault because they are not running 100% MAGA America First candidates, right? They're just
You're,
not.
you're absolutely right. The Republican Party, and I told this to Chris on a call a couple weeks ago. If anyone believes that there's not just as much or more evil on the right as there is on the left, they're wearing blinders. They're absolutely freaking ignorant of what is really going on. And I'm going to throw this last thing out and I'll land the plane. Because we had a recall election scheduled for, was it, a couple years ago, right? The reason that was unsuccessful, the only reason that he was not recalled, 2.7 million Trump voters did not show up and vote in that recall election.
Right.
Lane landed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, so yes. So this is what we're seeing right now too. Like I work for Condemn USA. I'm their national spokesman. The donations have dried up. I've talked to other people that run MAGA, America First groups around the country. Their donations are drying up. I saw that with the Oath Keepers. When President Trump was elected the first time, I was like, thank God he got elected. But we saw our membership shrunk and our donations went down. People get this idea in their head, well, oh, we won. President Trump's back in power, so now we can all just go back to sleep. And that's just foolish. The left never does that. They push when they're in power. They push when they're out of power. They're always pushing their agenda. And like Travis Evans, the guy that started Condemn USA, said something. I saw him for the first time when I arrived at the D.C. jail. One of his employees, Jen Baker, had come to visit me in prison. Awesome patriot. And she came pick me up along with Mel Hawley. So we drove down in the top chair, but now we got to keep pushing. He has got to purge the deep state, and we've got to purge especially in the Republican Party. In our own camp, we have, like I said before, you got cowards and you've got traitors, grifters and people that have silver soul. They must be purged out. But Dan Crenshaw, the governor Abbott, I'll call him out. I think he's a globalist shill. He'll, like on the border, he'll be crazy. We're down the border, operations from California all the way to Texas. And we saw Governor Abbott post a few state police, Highway Patrol, and some concertina wire as a show down Eagle Pass.
Yeah. I don't know if you can join this X space, but this,
We have to listen to this dumb shit.
yeah, I'm a speaker on this big X space right now called Defending Liberty with guest Stuart Rhodes, Patriots Unite.
Can I speak through your account if they say something that
No.
just on their leg on?
No, because there's no audio transfer. They won't even be able to hear you.
Then what the fuck are we listening to it for if I can't respond?
I sent you the link. I need you to go on X and join the room.
I don't have X.
Oh, you gotta get it. You
I'm
gotta
not
get it.
gonna.
You gotta get
My
it.
old phone that you gave, the phone you gave me, I put like Snap and Insta and all that bullshit, and I hated it all, so I don't want nothing to do with it.
Yeah, people if people give up, they delete.
But you're so fucking demanding of people's times on so many motherfucking different apps.
Yeah, I know. Spam, dude. I'm a manual spammer.
Dude, I've been talking with your opponent in Chicago.
Mm-hmm.
I told him that I'll work for his campaign for free.
Well, that's good because everybody has to work for free because everybody's broke in the whole party. Everybody looks like they fucking live out of their car.
It's such a garbage fucking conversation. Why the fuck are we listening like the further away from the?
Because I want to just get I just want to get a sound clip in and then I'm headed into a hot bath. So.
Well, go take care of your gout and I'll talk to you later.
Okay, I'll talk to you in like an hour.
right? The ones that were loyal to the king, the ones that were fighting against our founders in the field, they didn't give them a vote at the Continental Congress. When they formed the Continental Congress, it was the Patriots formed their own new government, and their attitude was F the loyalists. We're not going to give them a vote. They didn't get a vote. The loyalists who were still loyal to the king didn't get a vote on whether or not to ratify the Declaration of Independence and separate from England. They weren't given a vote. They were given a vote on appropriations for the Continental Army. So the founders, the Patriots formed their own government. That's what they're worried about with the Convention of States. It's who's going to wind up being a delegate to it. Are you going to have, once again, even within the so-called Republican circles, right? You're going to have establishment shills, global sellouts, people that have been bought and paid for, or been bribed, or blackmailed. They're going to be in your convention, and now it's for all the marbles. The loyalists didn't get to participate in the Continental Congress. They didn't get a chance to participate in the convention for the creation of the Constitution. So I worry about having a so-called convention of the states where you're going to wind up with your enemies, including inside the GOP, taking advantage of that to do more damage to our constitutional system. We're not forcing the Constitution we have. Why would you want to rewrite it? How's it going to help anything? So I hate to be a pessimist about that, but that's what I worry about.
I was proposing the question because I've heard people talk about it, and I don't even know if that's gonna happen, is what I was saying.
Well, I know good people that are all about that, and they're sincere, and they can explain why they believe that it'll be okay. But I just worry. I mean, the original Constitutional Convention was originally supposed to just amend the Articles of Confederation, right? But they scrapped the Articles of Confederation and formed a whole new government. It had to be ratified by state convention, but my point still stands. It was the Patriots who did that. They didn't give the loyalists a vote. Like in this country right now, I'm not going to give some Kool-Aid drinking, blue-haired, radical feminist lefty nut job who's been brainwashed into communism a vote on how we're going to amend the Constitution. And I'm not going to give some rhino sellout like Dan Crenshaw on how we're going to amend the Constitution. Dan Crenshaw's anti-gun. He believes gun confiscation. Take the guns first, what about due process later? He's all about that. And so is Dan Bondi, by the way. So there's a problem in our own camp. The founders, you're not going to get that same assembly of people that have that kind of personal experience and commitment to liberty. That's not the only ones you're going to get at a convention of the states. You're going to have your enemies there too. Inside your camp, because I gave up on being because I've given up on
Unless you want to, once we come over and
Rob Paul the nomination. He was going to win that nomination. He would have been the nominee against Obama. I believe he would have beat Obama for the same reason that Trump just beat Biden and beat Hillary in the first place, because there were plenty of crossovers. There was the original walkway movement. We had a bunch of former Democrats that crossed over into the Republican Party to be part of the Ron Paul movement. He would have won. But because the party's corrupt and stole the nomination from him and gave it to John McCain instead, they would prefer to lose and continue to be part of the grift than to win and have someone in power that would end the grift. That's the bottom line. So that's why I would realize this political system is corrupt.
Swedish massage exchange, yoga,
Small-town criminal defense attorney, and I saw corruption in small-town Montana.
to get rid of the pain.
My county was a reserve sheriff deputy. Talk about a conflict of interest. Is he ever
Unless you want to come over and I'll treat you to lunch, dinner, and a Swedish massage exchange and yoga to get rid of the pain.
help him get prosecution by lying on his stand? Of course they are. I watched them do it. So I just lost faith in it. That's why I started to resorted to focus. When Ron Paul knew the nomination was stolen from him, I realized we were in trouble. Now there was Hillary Clinton or Barack Obama. I didn't know at the time, but I knew that we were in trouble on the left or trouble on the right. I wanted to focus on the guys with the guns, those who be given orders to violate your rights. I wanted them to throw a monkey wrench in the machine by causing old people, women with clubs. We watched that happen. And you had a few guys like basic men, Cal Chapman, what his name was, that stepped up and tried to defend people, but they were outnumbered. And we were like, okay, we're not doing this again. So we went to the next rally that was held in that same park in downtown Berkeley. We were there. I had about 40 oath keepers, including 14 armed police officers. The local cops and about 100 other patriots, bikers and Proud Boys all came together. Patriot Prayer, a bunch of guys. So, I did that. Okay, gotcha. So, my point is, though, is that the cops had obeyed orders. We saw this across the country in 2020. They stood down, stood back with the cities burned, stand down orders were given across the country. So that's what we said, okay, we're not stepping in and fill the vacuum. And it helped because we did that twice in downtown Berkeley. Once in March, the other one in April, back-to-back rallies. And each time the cops got better. We gave them an F for that first one we saw online, where they just stood back and did nothing. We gave them about a C. I told my cops, you're great what they did. So we're giving about a C. The second time around, they did better. The third time, Antifa was not even allowed to get anywhere near the park. They all started marching from the Berkeley campus towards the park, where the Trump supporters were. The cops wouldn't let them get close to it. So they did better. So my cops, the oath keepers, stepping up and doing their damn job for them, embarrassed them into doing their job. So that's the point of having good cops step up, good veterans step up. Even if your local cops are following stand-down orders, you can still step up and do the work, and we did that many times. And during natural disaster, there was not enough police to go around, so we would wind up escorting teams of doctors and nurses to go out in the field. We wound up doing escorts for trucks that were being truck jacked. We would guard distribution points for disaster relief, like in Houston. This huge warehouse owned by a patriot businessman. He volunteered to have it be used for disaster relief. Trucks were coming in, filling his warehouse with stuff that we put out, food, water, sanitary supplies, medicine, all that kind of stuff. And he was worried about the local gangs. He had two rival gangs on either side of him. And so he contacted us because he'd seen we were on the rooftops of Ferguson. He saw us in the news, protecting against arsonists back in Ferguson, Missouri. So he said, hey, can you guys come protect my warehouse? So we did. We put guys on the rooftop with rifles, same thing. And we did that very overtly so that the local gangbangers realized that if you come try to steal anything from this warehouse, it's not going to be a good day. And they backed off. So that's where the example we set is what every veteran and every man should be doing in his own community. The big point I was trying to make with all these operations is that there should be the local militia should be handling all of this. It shouldn't take veterans from all over the country to go to Ferguson, Missouri, sit on a rooftop to protect one block of businesses and apartments. It should be done by the local men of Ferguson, Missouri. Okay. And I told the black men of Ferguson, I was like, hey, you guys would organize your own neighborhood watches, all you black veterans here, and patrol your own neighborhoods. It would reduce the reason for having the police becoming in your neighborhood.
Started off as an intern at Microsoft
and suppressing the bad actors in it. And as I told them, I was like, this is what you should be doing across the country. And that's the weakness we have. You shouldn't need oath keepers or Proud Boys or any
developer, and of course you're a big PC gamer still. I want to just talk about even your
the travel and expenses to go do something. The local men should get off their butts and do it. The local men in this country organize, they can take care of their own shit in their own backyard. Yeah, very frustrating. So frustrating. So when you got to this point where people were organizing, you got militia.
And I oversee the prime victims for the warnings for our sheriff's office. Once I was notified of the escaping, I immediately gathered
neighborhood watches, as we call our CPT program, the preparedness teams. The whole point was to organize neighborhood watches as the base. In every neighborhood, all the men in every neighborhood knew each other. All the veterans that know each other, all the ex-cops got together like a little mini militia. The idea I had before, they turn around and train all the other men. They all start
Certified clown.
Each town become part of the sheriff's posse for the whole county. So that was the structure I was advocating before I got arrested. We can at least do this on our own as a stopgap because we don't have governors and state legislatures that will actually organize it.
Started
It's
calling
ridiculous to
victims
say
and
that there's
survivors
the
just to
organized
make sure
militia,
that
that's the National Guard, and then the rest of us are the unorganized militia. How does that even make any sense? It's just a
we are
unorganized militia. In other words, you're just a pool of manpower that's not being utilized, but could be utilized sometime in the future. That's a recipe for friggin' fail. So my idea was, well, at least organize neighborhood watches, and town watches, and the county watches, and then hopefully the county posses.
Ever since that day, I live with anxiety. I can't sleep. I don't feel well. This woman, who we will call Maria, says she did not want to use her real name.
They turn to the sheriff and say, Sheriff, we want you to know our door is always open. We are your posse in waiting.
Sir, she could be talking, but she does want people to know her story.
no story para atrás.
Whenever you want to, we're more than happy to become your posse. That's kind of what we're working on. It's difficult to
Fellow Americans,
because, hey, they already know that if you try to organize anything in this country, you're going to get infiltrated by the friggin' FBI.
It's with great pleasure that I am announcing that
So that's the problem, is that, it's harder to organize people. During a natural disaster or during like when people are rolling into small town Texas trying to intimidate small town Texas, then we see local veterans, local citizens show up arrive with the shotguns.
So what happened, what I'm getting at is the mainstream media and the government, they started portraying the
Congress is currently debating spending.
organization, right?
She told
Oh yeah.
U.S. citizens. Do you want to touch on that?
Now, the amazing thing about human robotics is not just the fact that if it works, it can be quite versatile. It is likely the only robot that is likely to work. And the reason for that is because technology needs scale. Most of the robotic systems we've had so far are too low volume.
With Marines standing behind him, declaring that the MAGA movement is the greatest threat to democracy. So, like I said in that interview I did with Ivan,
And those low volume systems will never achieve.
We're back in the middle of a political firestorm.
The word democracy, just flip that to our power. That becomes the MAGA movement is the greatest threat to our power.
Yeah,
That's
for
true.
walking on the beach with my wife, so I don't know how we ended up here. It never occurred to me.
This band of this group of veterans and police officers, loyal to the Constitution, is a threat to our power. So that's a big one, dude. If you're a threat to their power, they're going to say you're a threat to democracy. They're going to smear you as being a racist and fascist and Nazis and all other bullshit. It's all a big smear designed to marginalize you and suppress your movement. And that's what they do to anybody on the political right who dares to ever go beyond plain old politics. But even in the world of plain old politics, they did it, right? They finally jumped the shark and began to declare that all Trump voters are racist and Nazis. That's what they ended up. So they're going to call you a racist and Nazi. Well, then you might as well go ahead and just organize a neighborhood watch and organize a town watch. Let's not forget that they call this trash. Let's not forget that we dared go after our school boards for putting in all the nonsense into the textbooks, right? They went after us, and even the FBI came after us, and they had to go in front of Congress at a hearing and explain, oh, well, we're not going after the martyr movement, we're not trying to do it, but they were trying to arrest us for that, even actively doing activism at our local level. Oh, yeah, we're going to demonize and attempt to suppress any threat to their power, and so, yes.
Oh, have your choice. Have your pick.
What's kind of funny is that you'll see the media, you go do a Google search right now, Oath Keepers and Violence, and you'll see leftist reporters, because they're all loyal parts of the machine, saying the same thing, that the Oath Keeper organization is one of the most dangerous and violent, right-wing, radical organizations. But yet, not one Oath Keeper ever used force in all of our time across the country doing all the security operations, including suppressing looters after hurricanes. We never fired a shot, never hit anybody or punched or kicked anybody, never hit anybody with a baton, never even pepper sprayed anybody. So we just used deterrence alone. We were successful because the bad guys knew we were carrying guns. The bad guys don't want to get shot. So from all over the country, every time we went out, we never had an issue because they were afraid to close with us. Because like Antifa in Berkeley, they knew my cops were armed. The local police knew, and they said, hey, Berkeley did. We did nothing. We couldn't have batons. I bought riot shields for our guys to use. We told we couldn't use those because they could use as a weapon. We couldn't have pepper spray. We couldn't have really batons or grass batons. So I'm like, so all you're telling me that all I have is my fists or their guns and put it on our cops. And so yeah, it's just the reality. We're not gonna tell fellow officers they can't carry in the park. So they let 14 of our cops carry, retired and current serving law enforcement oath keepers were carrying in the park. I believe Antifa heard about that because they were Antifa in that department. They heard about it and they knew. They didn't close on us. They came rushing into the park. They didn't obey the city ordinance, the emergency ordinance. They came in with chains and poles and homemade shields. It was like gangs of New York, right? And they came charging towards us. We all lined up. We had body armor and helmets on, all of us veterans, and hard knuckle gloves, and some of us were wearing cuffs. And then our cops were armed. But Antifa came rushing towards us and stopped about 20 yards away and just froze and didn't close. And then the cops got in between and put yellow tape in between to keep the two sides of patrolling between the two groups. It was pointing out that Antifa didn't want to dance. That's what I'm saying. And I believe the reason why is because they knew our cops were carrying guns. And also, even if our cops hadn't been there, we kicked their ass anyway. We were a bunch of big old bikers. Like I said, it was a hodgepodge of bikers, oath keepers, and proud boys. Some big dudes. I'm not that big, but there's some guys like 6'5", just big dudes, man. So they were ready to rock. What's his name? Tiny, the guy from Create Their Prayer, Big Samoan, he was there too. He was a knockout artist. So the point is that Antifa didn't want to dance. But nowhere do we use violence, only deterrence. And yet we're characterized as one of the most violent organizations of the political right to this day. That's the propaganda. And that's what they use against any group that dares to do things they don't like. If you do anything they don't like, including running for office, if you're a patriot, it will demonize you. So you might as well just say, fuck it, I'm going to go do what the right thing is.
And that was the case on January 6th. The government was trying to say that you were planning.
Every pick.
That you were, they'll say that you were like commanding your forces, right? They're trying to make it look like. And then, your whole point was we were just there to be at the event.
We were there to do securities. We were there to be at the event. We were there to protect free speech.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
The point about that,
it was deterrent. It was the same thing, right? I mean, that's what you're saying.
yeah. We were there to take an event all over the country, starting Trump's inauguration. We protect Trump supporters from Antifa school stop. That's why we were there. And that's what the Proud Boys were doing too. They were there to do the same damn thing. We've done it together across the country. They did it their own way. They're around street fighting Antifa. Hey, I got nothing against that. More power to them. I enjoy watching the videos of them knocking people out who deserve to be knocked out. So we had a different, because we were a lot of cops and retired military, we had a different tactic. It was just simply pure defense and deterrence to protect people and events, and we would do volunteer escorts. If anybody wanted to be, like, for example, during all the Trump campaign rallies, we would, Antifa knows if you go to a Trump campaign rally, you got to go through Secret Service. You won't be able to have any weapons on you. So they know that when you come out of a Trump rally at night, say the man and his wife walking back to their car, they know the man's going to be unarmed. Wife too, right? They know you're going to be unarmed. You can't take a pen sometimes. So that's when they would attack people with clubs and pepper spray and things like that, knives and stab people, all kinds of crap was going on. So that's why we started posting armed retired police and military veterans outside the venue. We coordinate with Secret Service. They would know we're there, know where we're going to be, how to identify our guys. Usually had a certain color armband and an oath keeper hat on. And we'd say, okay, here's how to identify our people. We'd stand outside with a sign that said, volunteer security escort. If you want volunteer escort to your car, just ask. And if someone was like an older, retired civil veteran, or elderly people, or women and kids, things like that, they would come up to us. We would escort them back to their cars. And Antifa didn't like that. I would say, as a mind fuck for Antifa, I would say for every oath keeper you see, there are at least 2 more you don't see. That's what I would tell them. So that was our mind fuck for Antifa.
Yeah, I mean, I remember, Enrique coming out here and telling us he was stabbed.
Hey Stuart, this is a Republican tree. Can I get put in the queue? I want to ask you a question.
So,
Yeah, all that stuff was outside agitators. It wasn't the people that actually lived there. I agree. I mean, you had some opportunists, but other than that,
no, you're right. We saw that Kenosha too. Same thing happened over and over again across the country. You're right.
Yep.
Outside agitators came in. That's right.
Yep. And I've said this to a lot of people as well. I mean, it's what when we watched take place when George Floyd was supposed to take place in Ferguson. The problem is we had Governor Greitens who stood up against it, did the right things, brought in oath keepers, the state troopers, on a National Guard to protect federal buildings, let the
Governor Nixon? I think it was Governor Nixon, wasn't it?
no, Eric Greitens, who paid a very, very high price for standing up against George Soros and the back Kim Gardner at that particular time, who was releasing these individuals back onto the streets as soon as they were getting this. But that's a story for another time. Because the reason I came up is I wanted to ask you. You mentioned earlier about you started the Oath Keepers in 2009, and then you mentioned the Tea Party. But during that Tea Party, and this is going to tie into January 6th because obviously I was speaking on this in the Terrio space, but I was getting muted by the code and overspoke, but the people were gaslighting. But so during the Tea Party, there was an individual, a general, who was calling for a storming the Capitol and citizen arresting Obama. That same general who was fast tracked this. I'm gonna hold a space on this Wednesday to explain this a lot more in detail. Wednesday at 7. So
Are you talking about General Dalloway?
I 100% am.
Yep, I know what you're talking about. That's right.
Because he was calling for this, the insurrection and the citizen arrest of Obama, which is the same rhetoric that leads to
he was calling for what he said is that we need generals and CEOs of major corporations to take over. That's what he said. That we should trust generals who are just politicians and CEOs of major corporations to then take over and run our government. That is an illegitimate coup. I agree.
He was saying that as well as we needed people to go to the Capitol and storm the Capitol and then citizens arrest Obama in 2013.
But to replace him with a government, supposedly interim government, run by generals and CEOs of major corporations. Talk about from the frying pan into the fire. So I oppose that. You're correct about that. That would have been horrible. Absolutely right.
Now, as you lead into January 6th, he was the general that was pushing for the insurrection. I've got him on a podcast that they deleted, but it's on the way back to see him brought back to life.
Well, hey, even if the clock is right once a day, right? Or twice a day, actually.
100%. But a lot of that that was my question that I wanted to ask, particularly when it pertains to 2013 and January 6th. But he's a lot of the rhetoric we're seeing flying around here. The attacks of General Flynn and so forth. So, this is a major part of January 6th because they were also General McNamara working alongside with General Valley were pushing the PCAPs and Dennis Montgomery and the Hammers floor card that was pushed on to Mike Lindell that
set him on chase down a wrong hole. Yeah.
Absolutely. Where we should have been looking at Seth Kessel with Devon's information and the voter rolls, dead voters, the stolen security cards or social security numbers and so on, right? Fact.
Well, from the election, I just stopped at, they admitted they didn't follow state law. They called it changing the rules, but they just directly violated state election laws. So then I looked at that and go, okay, who did that? Whether the state legislature did it, they didn't come to a special session. They could have. They could have come in by Zoom in a special session to amend their election laws to allow whatever. They could have done that. It would have been constitutional and lawful, but they didn't. So I don't need to see all the proof of the so-called fraud. I only need to see that they didn't follow state election law. And so when you violate state election laws designed to prevent fraud and designed to make it easier to see fraud, I don't need to go still try to prove the fraud. I just have to show that you violate state election law. And then that triggers a violation of Article 2. It makes it illegal and unconstitutional. Done. Mic drop. I don't need to see anything else. That was my position. That was John Easton's position, and he was right.
Yeah, 100%. But that rhetoric and propaganda that was being pushed at that particular time is it essentially is what gave them the media and Congress the ammo to deem anybody, getting against the election as illegal or domestic or terrorist or extremist.
Hey, I gotta wrap this up pretty quick here. My friend has got to end this tonight. So like five more minutes. We gotta hand it out. But no, look, I understand your point. I agree up to this point that when you're dealing with a fight to the death against the deep state, and you have an election that in your face has been stolen, and a Chekhov puppet's being installed, and you're scrambling to find some way to stop that from happening and defeat it, you use what you have in front of you, and that the constitutional power the president had is to call the militia, A, B, declassify. You can still do that now. That's the most peaceful way to do it, is to declassify and expose the bad guys. Once you've exposed them, that's when you use your power and authority under the Insurrection Act, and I would believe you should call it the militia. The militia, we the people, are much safer, even as chaotic as it would have been in a mass meeting column. We're still much safer than trusting a bunch of generals. I agree. It would have been terrible to put our future in the hands. There's nowhere in our Constitution that says generals get to run our country. The president is the commander in chief. That's it. Everybody else under his command. The President Trump, while he was still in office, could have invoked the Insurrection Act, could have called us up as a militia. That's why we had our rifles in our freaking hotel in Virginia. We didn't bring them to D.C., by the way. That's why we did this called an insurrection. It was the most incompetent insurrection in real history. If it was actually an insurrection, it wasn't. We lived in scary reality in case the president did it. It was crazy. And I'm sure our government also were going to go investigate it. We got it back. That would be the safest way to take out the deep state. Is to keep them safe.
Baby, this love,
To show all
I'll
the
never.
pedophiles in office, all the corrupt Chekhov puppets, everything. Show it to us all, and then we have to deal with how you fix it then. The authority of President Trump as the duly elected commander-in-chief. That's a safe place to put it. Not General Galloway and his CEO buddies. I never, ever trusted that for good reason. So your point's well taken, but just in the context of the emergency we were having in November and December of 2020, what would you have us do? What would you have President Trump do? What's your alternative?
Well, I mean, I think if we wouldn't have had the PSYOP running on the back end, we would have had the people that were stood up, like you mentioned before, and Terry had mentioned prior to January 6th to stand up and make the call for, these elections to be looked into and so on.
So sure, they manipulated B6 to use it to divert attention and suppress an investigation. But look what the Supreme Court done. The Supreme Court threw us into that constitutional crisis where they didn't do their damn job. And Alito and Thomas called them out and said, you guys, we have no discretion not to take this case. We have to take this case. And Roberts refused to do it, and he went along with the lefties on the court. And so did Kavanaugh, and so did Barrett. They sided with the lefties and would not hear the election challenge from Ken Paxton from Texas Soup, Pennsylvania.
And so the way that I look at that is that all started back in 2017 with Q and the conspiracies and all that stuff that was around it. Because what that did was allow Congress in 2020 to pass through the House. It didn't go through the Senate, but I forget what the bill was called, but it was basically allowing them to deem MAGA and QAnon supporters as domestic terrorists and domestic extremists, which gave FBI and Department of Homeland Security the ability to survey American citizens.
They're going to do that anyway. The CIA and the FBI has been doing that kind of crap for decades. They don't need congressional authorization to do it. But they've been given that.
PSYOP that kept people sitting on their hands where they should have been.
Likely for it. I mean, Q was absolutely a psyop, absolutely. Because like you said, it kept people waiting. They think, oh, trust the plan. They were just waiting for this magical plan to materialize. And I know I'm going to put some people off by saying this, but hey, I was in jail with Judge Jensen, right? We were in solitary confinement, and I'd get out of my cell from my break to go take a shower, and I'd come up to the den and start talking to him. He's like, John, this Q drop just got mailed to me from my wife. He's in solitary confinement, and he's still, drinking the Kool-Aid on Q. He's like, read this. slide it under the door slot, you know, so I go read it, you know, overnight. Next day I'm like, yeah, this is complete gibberish. This is a bunch of crap. But he was a true believer. I think he was a friggin' CIA psyop designed to distract Americans and get them spinning their wheels and not focused on real solutions. I think that's absolutely correct.
Well, I think we need to talk about that because there's a second round of it coming up, and I think if we don't get actionable right now, we're going to lose the midterms, and it's going to be Trump's first administration all over again. Because if we lose the House, we're fucked.
Yeah, I agree, man. And I know some good people. I'm not saying Doug's a bad guy. Good guy. But just letting you know that there are good people. That's the whole point of psyops. That's the whole point of propaganda. Is that people are twisted and misled down a primrose path that gets them into a dead end.
I agree.
Like I said, we've got physical necessities. We need a militia system that needs to be restored. We need to get the money in our counties.
Turn it back on you because I spoke out against this that I respect a lot and still do. But I think once this comes out, they'll realize why I stand by the truth. God, country, and my kids. That's it. And whatever it takes, right?
Yeah, amen, man. I mean, that's the thing is, it can be difficult. Like, it can be difficult to know who's real and who's not real. It can be difficult because we've seen so many, you know, posers and grifters, and even in our own movement, right? Even inside the political movement, you got grifters. You do. You got talking head grifters that really all they care about is they making money. You know, I'm not going to name names. I don't believe in super flying squad, but they're there, and they're really not about anything but themselves. In the end, it's just the way it is. But then you got the CIA and ADHS and FBI running, you know, their own modern version of COINTELPRO, infiltrating groups, steering people down the wrong path. That's going to happen. So whether General Valloway was part of that, whether he was just sincerely a wannabe dictator, I don't know. But yeah, I saw that a long time ago. I was like, nope, I'm not following that.
I got that's the difference all over it.
But that's different than President Trump doing what he had the authority to do. Now, if I go back to declassification, at the very least do that. That's what I told him. My last letter to him was like just days before the inauguration, like January 9th or something. I was like, at least do this. At least do a mass declassification to expose them. You know, but he didn't do it, unfortunately. He can now. I hope he does. I sincerely hope that Tulsi Gabbard, I think she got it on my place. I hope that she takes the helm on that. We're going to declassify and expose the deep state. So are the damn judges. And I don't care if they're, like I said, marble letters. Pick a Democrat appointed judge, pick a Republican appointed judge that are dirty, expose them. So for U.S. senators, pick one of them on the Republican Party, or the Democrat Party, expose them. Let's repeat all the way through the whole, all three branches, top to bottom, and through the state legislatures too, and state governor's offices. So,
I agree, and I appreciate your time, man. I really
no
appreciate
problem, brother.
everything you've done for this country.
Well, I'll do my best. But I kind of feel like Cassandra from the tale of the Trojan horse, right? In Troy. So she was gifted with the ability to see the future. She was cursed. She would tell her father, the king, Priam, that he was going to have his city to be destroyed, he would be killed, and he just didn't believe her. So that's sometimes kind of how I feel. Now, I'm not the only guy who feels this way, I'm sure. I'm sure Ivan feels that way. A bunch of us, you probably feel this way too. People just don't listen. You can see what's coming. They don't freaking listen. And when it shows up, like the jihadi attacks that I know are coming, I mean, it's not rocket science. It's coming, guys. Get ready for it. Are you getting ready for it right now? Are you training? Are you organizing with your neighbors? Are you meeting your neighbors? Are you getting off your ass? Are you getting ready? If you're not doing what you should be doing. So do what you should be doing. And figure out what you want to call it. I don't care what you call it. Call it neighborhood watch. But get off your ass and train.
Another time tonight, man, and we're gonna get you back on another time. You got that.
So happy to. We can pick one topic or two, or whatever we want to dive into, and just go. So I'm writing a book about oath keepers from my experiences, but I mean, I make mistakes. We all make mistakes. There's no such thing as a perfect person, but only one walks the earth. But there are experience. That's what you said for the conflicts, or fighters for Trump, or any of these groups that stood up. Other guys like the gentleman on the phone said in person. So a lot of guys have experience dealing with crap around the country, and you should be notes and sharing experiences doing our AARs, making sure that we have a better in the future. Like, for example, with Game 6, I would have done things differently that day. Would I have still been there? Yes, it'd be a responsibility to be there. But I'd have been much more mindful of the vulnerability of our security teams to being steered into a PSYOP, into a manipulated event. I wouldn't call J6 a manufactured event. I would call it a manipulated event. They manipulated good people into, like Jessica Watkins, my co-defendant, called it a lobster trap. That's the way to put it. Made it easy for you to get in, and once you're in, you're fucked. That's kind of how J6 was. They made it easy for them to get in the Capitol. Once it got inside, just walking around doing photo shoots, and our guys helped cops. We can talk about this some other time. But they did, that's the help police inside. All that though was hidden from the jury, hidden from the public.
They had never seen like this. When they were venturing into the jungle, they stumbled upon a spectacle among the herd of
of any oathkeeper going in the Capitol or any Proud Boy, because we were already being targeted and going inside, made it easy for them, or easier, than to finish this responsibility to take this conspiracy.
Last June, my wife and I were profoundly moved to join veterans of D-Day at the new National Memorial overlooking Gold Beach as they return to honor their comrades who never came.
It's never really been hit on. It's been a guess. And so I just felt like it was something that was missing, because I think you got great takes on it, and I think you know the history of it. And so I didn't want to leave that out tonight.
No, that was great. Yeah, it was cool, man. Yeah, I think it's really closing though. I think the FBI and the CIA should be scared of the four winds. Same thing that JFK threatened to do. That's why they killed him. That's what should be done. The CIA from its very inception has been nothing but a shadow government that runs its own foreign policy and its own domestic policy. It's been corrupt. And the FBI, J. Edgar Hoover was in office for life because even though he was a notorious crossdresser, everyone knew he was a crossdresser and gay. He was in power for life because he had the dirt on all the politicians. They all knew that anyone crossed him, he would expose them. That's exactly the same kind of blackmail. That was back when things were file cabinets, right? Now imagine what it's like with NSA total surveillance with modern electronics. So that same system's in place. That's what needs to be torn down.
And to expand on that, we talked about the DIA becoming part of the military. That would be our intelligence apparatus, right? That's how you would do it. DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, become part of the military. Was that the take on it, or were you?
Well, I think the military intelligence is more trustworthy. I would trust a Naval or Marine Corps Army intelligence officer or Air Force more than I would trust anyone who works for the freaking CIA. Pull the CIA, everyone out of that office, they can all go park, like I did that guy's office, right? Basically the same work. But someplace else in front of an empty friggin' desk in the cubicle with no computer, and say, sit here and twiddle your thumbs. While we go and sort through all this crap that you've been collecting out of people all these years, all the dirt, and then classify it. But put your military intelligence started doing that. And I don't care which one you use or what vehicle. I think that once again we can figure that out. I trust you to do that.
Awesome time, man. We'll do it again. I can tell you that. And this was extremely informative.
Can I just ask a quick question about the Federal Reserve and Congress essentially working together to create 40 trillion and this big beautiful bill creating 20 trillion new debt in 10 years? I mean, isn't that a major problem? The Federal Reserve and Congress creating all this debt?
Oh, absolutely. The Federal Reserve's been a problem from the very beginning, like Ron Paul said a long time ago. It's just taxation. It's another.
In the world of seafood, not all.
He called it a tax. It's a hidden tax.
They kicked me.
It's just taxation. It's a form of what do you call it? He called it a tax. It's a hidden tax. Inflation is a hidden tax. So when they create money out of nothing, they give it to their buddies first. They get full value on the dollar that they just created out of thin air, and then by the time it gets to you, it's devalued. And now that it's created out of digits, it's just digital. I think what we should do is declare a jubilee. None of that national debt any of us signed on to or agreed with. It was all done illegitimately. So I don't think we owe China jack shit. or anybody else for that matter. Just clear a jubilee like he's doing in the Bible, wipe out all the debts and start over again. That's what I would say. So all those trillions of dollars of debt, we don't owe any of that. And we need to end the Federal Reserve, not just audit it, end it. Because all it is a private cartel of bankers. And they just create money out of nothing. And that, with that comes massive power. And the Chinese do the same thing, by the way. They can also, the Chinese Communist Party can just print up as many, what do they call it, the yuan? They can print those up all day long. They go transfer it into US dollars and they come buy farmland and businesses in the United States. It doesn't cost them a dime to do that. They just print money out of thin air. So why are we letting that happen? It's just fiat money. They just print up out of nothing and come here and buy out our politicians, buy out our governors, name it, and then buy our land and factories and businesses too.
And one last
So why
point
are we
on
letting this
that.
happen?
Wouldn't you seize their land that they bought the U.S. to? I mean, shouldn't we do that at this point?
Yeah, of course. That's what I'm saying. All that's illegitimate. There should be no ownership of any land in the United States by anyone. And you can't be a businessman in China without being part of the CCP and having political officers of the CCP on your board and watching everything you do. If you're in business in China, you are the CCP. There's no such thing as a Chinese business that's not the CCP. It doesn't exist.
I'm so glad you hit on this point because I've been pounding the drum on this point. If they're visiting China, they're part of the CCP. If America are...
Well, I mean, if they're doing business in China, they're doing business with the CCP.
Correct.
And that's the problem.
Yeah.
We have a lot of businessmen in this country because they're loyal to themselves and their own bottom line first that have sold out to the CCP. You're right. They sold out because they get money out of it. Hey guys, I got to run because I'll use my friend's phone. He's got to go to bed.
All good, brother. We'll do it again sometime, man. It was incredible.
Hey, I appreciate you guys, and I really appreciate your input. So, I don't know everything. I just, I know from my own experience, and that's all I can talk from. So.
Yeah, well, there's a lot of experience there. Stuart Rhodes, everybody. We'll do it again sometime. Thank you.
Hey, I gotta put a shout out to Condemn USA. I encourage folks to support them. It's a good organization. It's kind of the ACLU for our side. And donations have dropped off. People think that everything's fine now. It's not. We got Tina Peters. We got other political prisoners out there that still need help. So, at least do something to support Condemn USA. Give us a donation. So you go to givesendgo.com/C as in Charlie, USA. CUSA. givesendgo.com/CUSA to donate to Condemn USA. And for my GiveSendGo, it's /Golf Alpha Foxtrot 5 Bravo GAF 5B.
I posted that in the chat. I posted that on my profile.
I could use a shot in the arm too, guys. I'm just rebuilding my life and trying to figure out what I'm doing next. Until I get a pardon, it makes it much more difficult to earn money. So just
so you know, I put that up top at the beginning. I don't know if you saw that.
Appreciate that.
Yeah.
And the same goes for all the other J-Stixers. Every one of us trying to rebuild their lives. We've been destroyed. So hopefully someday we'll get some kind of lawsuit compensation. But guys, right now, we got nothing. Most of us are rebuilding out of nothing. Just the way it is. So, all right, guys. God bless you guys. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate you.
God bless you too.
All right. Bye.
You guys want to stick around for a little bit of reaction? I'll do it for about another 15 minutes, but we'll get him on again. This is something I was working on really hard. Go ahead, Silent. Your hands up, Silent. Go ahead.
Oh, yeah, I'm here. Yeah. Hey, man, this has been a great space. I've been listening the whole night, talked a little bit, but, there's one thing, and I got a question. Is Ivan still awake?
We'll see. Maybe not.
Oh, Ivan, you still awake? He's been working hard, though. Okay, so I got a question real quick, and this is a question, okay? I'm going to make a statement real quick. Okay, in 1951, Harry Truman set the precedent of two...
I have 3 Dr. T. Rubs is a Jew-hating Northern Irish little cuck who sleeps with his dog every day.
Jack shit, right? Or anybody else for that matter. Just clear a jubilee like you do in the Bible. What? Jack shit, right? Or anybody else for that matter.
Okay, we're gonna go back to the Buddha book.
Arlington Nissan has something for you. We have selection. Arlington Nissan has something for you because we never have a
Dream. Kinsmen, friends, and lovers, salute the man who has been long away and returns safe from afar. In like manner, his good works receive him who has done good and has gone from this world to the other, as kinsmen receive a friend on his return. Anger. Let a man leave anger. Let him forsake pride. Let him overcome all bondage. No sufferings befall the man who is not attached to name and form, and who calls nothing his own. He who holds back rising anger like a rolling chariot, him I call a real driver. Other people are but holding the reins. Let a man overcome anger by love. Let him overcome evil by good. Let him overcome the greedy by liberality, the liar by truth. Speak the truth. Do not yield to anger. Give, if thou art asked for little. By these 3 steps thou wilt go near the gods. The sages who injure nobody, and who always control their body, they will go to the unchangeable place, Nirvana, where, if they have gone, they will suffer no more. Those who are ever watchful, who study day and night, and who strive after Nirvana, their passions will come to an end. This is an old saying. O Atula, this is not only of today. They blame him who sits silent. They blame him who speaks much. They also blame him who says little. There is no one on earth who is not blamed. There never was, there never will be, nor is there now a man who is always blamed, or a man who is always praised. But he whom those who discriminate praise continually day after day, as without blemish, wise, rich in knowledge and virtue, who would dare to blame him, like a coin made of gold from the Gambu River? Even the gods praise him. He is praised even by Brahman. Beware of bodily anger, and control thy body. Leave the sins of the body, and with thy body practice virtue. Beware of the anger of the tongue, and control thy tongue. Leave the sins of the tongue, and practice virtue with thy tongue. Beware of the anger of the mind, and control thy mind. Leave the sins of the mind, and practice virtue with thy mind. The wise who control their body, who control their tongue, the wise who control their mind, are indeed well controlled. 18. Impurity. Thou art now like a sere leaf. The messengers of death, Yama, have come near to thee. Thou standest at the door of thy departure, and thou hast no provision for thy journey. Make thyself ardent, work hard, be wise. When thy impurities are blown away, and thou art free from guilt, thou wilt enter into the heavenly world